Your teen requested a ride, but this time not from you. It's through their Uber teen account. You drive your teenager around, a lot, to their friend Jacob's house, their other friend Jake's house, to James's, to Jaden's, to Jalen's, to...
Mom? This is Jake's house, not Jacob's.
Now with an Uber teen account, your teen can request a ride under your supervision. They'll ride with a highly rated driver, and with live trip tracking, you'll follow along the whole ride to their friends' houses that all sound the same. Add your teen to your Uber account today. See app for details.
Bye, Mom.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
We finished week 2 of the D3 football season, and we're here to recognize our D3 coach, staff, and coordinators of the week. And joining me to do that is Logan Hanson, the creator of Hanson Ratings, who gives us some great insight into all of D3 football by the work he's doing. So Logan, thanks again for what you do, and I'm excited to get into our coaches of the week.
Thanks, Keith. I'm excited to talk about some of the performances that these teams had this week. It was pretty incredible.
Yeah, and that's what we've been saying really across D3 football. I mean, D3 football, you got to love it. I mean, it's, exciting. These guys playing who don't have, NIL deals and, don't live in the transfer portal. Coaches developing them with all kinds of hats they have to wear, but a great brand of football as well. So I'm glad we could highlight some of those things each week. And so let's get into our coaches and coordinators of the week. And we're going to start with our offensive coordinator.
Offensive coordinator of the week this week was Ryan Fleetwood from Salisbury, who won 59-38 over a top 25 Muhlenberg this week. They had 11 different players carry or catch the ball. They averaged over 10 yards per rush and 35 yards per completion. And on the year, they rank first in the country in yards per play at 12.3. The next closest is only at 9.4. So they are finding explosive plays at an insane rate right now. This is the second game of over 600 yards of total offense. Their opponent only allowed 17.5 points per game in 2023, while Salisbury managed 59.
Yeah, Nate Milne and his staff do a great job there at Muhlenberg. So this is a huge win for Salisbury. And as you pointed out, just some high production already in the first couple weeks of the season. So let's hear from Coach Ryan Fleetwood here. So let's bring in Coach Fleetwood, the offensive coordinator at Salisbury, our D3 offensive coordinator of the week. Well, we're excited to have our D3 offensive coordinator of the week joining us. They had a big 59-38 win over Muhlenberg. And we have Ryan Fleetwood, who's the offensive coordinator at Salisbury, joining us here. So Ryan, first of all, congratulations on being recognized as our offensive coordinator of the week, and congratulations on a big win.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on here to talk a little bit of football. We did have a great week. Our coaching staff did a great job. We're very fortunate here to have a staff that our full-time coaches have been together for 25 years now. Coach Sherman Wood, our head coach, has been here for 26 years, and myself, my offensive line coach, who's actually my father, which is a unique situation, and our defensive coordinator, Rob DeSpennett, have been here together for 25 years. So it's kind of a unique situation there. And then coaching the rest of the offense is our wide receiver coaches, Kevin Collington, and our slot coach, Sean Grandy. Got a great staff, so we're certainly happy with what those guys have done. And then our players played great. We were great up front. Our skill guys did what they're supposed to do and just had a great week all around.
Yeah, it's always good to see all those aspects of what you're working on coming together. And, it is a collective effort. So thank you for recognizing those guys. And, would like to get into a little bit about some of the things you guys do in preparation. And, starting off with the idea, as you share with me, that you guys do things a little bit different. And I'll let you explain what that means, because I don't want to characterize you guys as a certain type of offense, but there's definitely some different flavors to it than you might see every single week. So if you would describe the offense that you guys use to attack a defense.
Sure. We call it a spread option. If you glanced at it quickly, people would call us a flex bone or a triple option team. We stay away from that as much as we can. Certainly some of the formations you see are similar, and the triple option is a play, but it's not our offense. Whether we always accomplish that or not, we want to do more things than that. We want to be a team that can throw the ball downfield. When we are at our best, it's because we are spreading the ball around, not only in the option game with our super back is what we call a lot of people call it a fullback or a B-back, but it's a super back to us because we kind of started with some run and shoot routes, and that's where that came from. But we want to spread the ball around to our playmakers. It's no different than an air raid offense, and that includes running the football when we need to and throwing it over top when teams are trying to take that away. So, because of the triple option component, we're different than a lot of people. Week to week in preparation, we don't always know what we're going to see. We'll see some teams that stay in their base defense and, try to play us that way. And we'll see teams that will totally overhaul what they're doing and play a totally different defense for us. So kind of the way we handle that is a few ways. We have to make sure, number one, our kids are prepared for anything. Our terminology needs to be, pretty simple. We want our kids to be able to play fast no matter what they see. Our rules and assignments have to be adaptable to whatever's in front of us. And, so we focus almost a little bit more on ourselves during the week than what we're going to see. And obviously, we're watching film and preparing and taking all those things into account. But I think, whether it is an option offense and you never know what you're going to see week to week, or whether you're running the spread that everybody's kind of doing now, sometimes you get a little too caught up in what the defense is giving you instead of worrying what you do and making sure you do what you do and do it well.
Yes, I know I've faced those situations myself, either when, early on we were a wing T team. So, we were going to get certain things against the wing T. I know when we coached against the wing T when I was at a different school, we had checks that, put us kind of in something different. So you do get those flavor of the week defenses that you might not have seen on tape at all. I could remember one year practiced all week for an even front, and that team came out in an odd front and never showed it before. So the biggest part of it is like that adaptability in both your preparation, but also, being able to adjust quickly on game day. And I think it goes back to what you said, the focus on yourself. So I would love to hear like the approach overall for this, rather than, hey, we're facing, even front this week. So here's our whole plan for even front and how we're going to practice it, et cetera. How do you guys keep that focus on you and being adaptable, knowing that we're not quite sure if they're going to do what they've shown on film or if they're going to come out in something different?
I think the biggest thing is that we get a ton of reps throughout the week. We don't practice extremely long by any means. We kind of have the philosophy that you can go hard or you can go long, but you're not going to practice hard and long. So we don't go long during practice, but when we do, we go 1,000 miles an hour, and it's high pace, high tempo. Every inside run segment, every 7-on-7 segment, team, we have 2 huddles so that when one group is snapping the football, the next group's breaking the huddle, and we try to get as many reps in practice as we can. The ironic thing is, on game day, that's not what we do at all. We are a team that huddles for the most part. We don't play a lot of tempo. We might do something here or there, but we are not a high tempo team. But in practice, we are. We go fast. We get a ton of reps in. Sometimes, to be quite honest, we might not get a perfect look on the scout team. We might be going so fast that we'll make a mistake here or there, but we get a ton of reps in throughout the week, so we get to see a lot of fronts during the week. the accumulation of those reps over practice means that even some young kids, by the end of the season have had a ton of reps doing what they're doing. Get to a situation this year, we have a fifth-year quarterback that started. His freshman year was the COVID year, and he has been injured the last 2 years and hasn't had a ton of game opportunities, to be quite honest, but he has had more reps in practice over 5 years than what a lot of people would get in a 4-year career. So he has kind of seen a lot of things and just banked a lot of reps over the years, and we think that really helps us, that the pace we go, the amount of reps we get, that our kids get a lot of experience before they even hit the game field.
So I love that approach, and I've had teams that have been huddle teams before, and we would try to run an up-tempo practice. There were some things we would do to do it. We didn't necessarily have those up-tempo procedures in. So from that logistical standpoint and getting as many reps as you can without being that, no huddle up-tempo team, how do you get it done in practice?
It can be tricky at times, certainly with limited scout team members. It's tough. We have a roster limit within our conference, so we're not the D3 team that, the private school that brings in 160, 70 kids. We don't have those numbers, so it can make it tough, but we just try to be creative in any way we can through team, let's say a team period. If we need to work on 2-minute that week on a certain day, or if we need to work on a freeze play at the line of scrimmage, or changing one little look up that the defense is not that important, we'll have the defense say, hey, give us so many reps, and we're going bang, 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 both huddles at them, and then we'll clear the defense and, go get a break, get some water, sit tight, and we work on things where the defense isn't as important. So our offense never stops. They're still going. They're running rep after rep after rep because there's the 2 huddles, and, focus on things in that point that maybe we don't need the defense out in front of us. And then once the defense is rested, they come back out and we don't stop. We go right back to the script and keep going. And that allows us to really get reps. Another thing, we tempo in practice, but not in the game. A lot of times we'll use wrist coaches in practice just so that the players have the script. So we're not waiting for a coach to tell the player what to call. They have the script on their wrist, and we don't use them in the games, but in practice they use them just to get the play and just cut out any dead time that we're wasting giving somebody a play, and just getting as many reps as we can.
Yeah, that's interesting. You brought up the 2 huddle approach, and that's what I was going to ask you, if you did a 2 huddle. And I remember, and I'll have to find the episode, but I had an up-tempo team and a coordinator on, and he talked about how they actually used 2 huddle in practice, and they found that they got more reps that way, even though they were an up-tempo team. So, I think it's interesting that, you can approach things different ways, and it doesn't have to necessarily always be the procedures that you use in the game. Certainly you want to practice those things, right? You probably don't want to go a whole week without your guys hearing something in the huddle, but looking at practice and saying, like you said, hey, we need to trim, some of this dead time out of it. That's certainly a way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. It allows us to go fast, not be out there long. Certainly kids' attention spans aren't as long as they might have been at one time. So we're not out there long, but we're getting tons of reps in. And probably the biggest thing it does too that is sometimes hidden is it gets other kids reps. Our second quarterback, our second left guard is going to get just as many reps as our first team guy is. We get third team guys reps. We'll have kids that when you look back at the end of the season, maybe they didn't get as many opportunities in the game, and hopefully we've had some big games where we could play a lot of people, and we do play a lot of people regardless, but we'll have third string skill guys that I guarantee you get more reps than what a second team guy could get in a normal practice situation. So that's a big advantage of it as well, as if somebody does go down, and I feel like we've had a tough couple of years with some injuries, but we certainly go by the next man up approach. And I think how we practice makes it so that you're not panicked if somebody goes down, because we know that, that second guard has gotten just as many reps as our starter has.
So the other aspect of this is the game, right? And again, being able to adjust to that unpredictability when the game gets going, or maybe at some point in the game they change and get out of what a base scheme was and go to their plan B. So you have to have some things you do procedurally as coaches and how you look at things, as well as when our players get to the sideline, this is how we're going to handle this. So how do you make that side of it, that adjusting in game, efficient for you?
I try to kind of spell to our players when they come in, and it's not always easy. They struggle sometimes. I'm not a big playbook person. I'm like, you've got to learn the rules. You've got to learn the offense, and you got to understand why things are being done. And we use a ton of tags within plays, and it becomes a language. And we'll get to the point where, if you understand our base offense, our base plays, and it's not just what you do, don't memorize what you do. You got to understand that, if you're the slot to the call, you got to know what the tackle to that side's doing as well. You got to know how we count the defense, whether you're the center, on top of the football, or the wide receiver is far away from it. And it's almost a language that we've built in where we'll get into a games, and it's pretty simple how we identify the defense. But if we do start to see things that are different and something's giving us some trouble and we need to make an adjustment, we can make a call to change guys' responsibilities within the play, change who they're blocking, maybe to give somebody a better angle to block somebody. And it could be something that we haven't practiced all week long. Now, we've practiced the individual components of it, because maybe we do it on different plays. So we're not asking a kid to go out and perform a block he's never done, but maybe just not, this guy blocking this guy and this guy blocking that guy on the same play. And we can, get to the board and say, hey, if we get this look, we want to make this tag call, and we're going to do this. And again, the veterans, especially after all those reps for all those years and kind of learning our language, we can very easily kind of change some schemes up, and our kids are great with it. They handle it very well.
Coach, I really appreciate you sharing some insight into how you guys do things and preparing for a game and making adjustments. And again, congratulations to you and your coaching staff and your team on being recognized here as our D3 Offensive Coordinator of the Week. And I want to wish you and the Seagulls the best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank you very much. Our kids have done a great job, and I know we do things a little different here, but hopefully something there can help somebody. I appreciate your time.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
The Volvo XC60 plug-in hybrid is about performance. Not just on the road, but in life. With not only trunk space, but room to make memories. It's electric, with a backup plan, where the only speed that matters is how fast you can slow down. The Volvo XC60 plug-in hybrid. Performance where it matters the most. Visit volvocars.com/US to learn more.
Next, we recognize our D3 Defensive Coordinator of the Week. Logan, what do you have for us here?
This week we have Ryan McElwain of DePauw, who won 33-0 against another top 25 opponent in Barry. Barry last year averaged 53 points per game, and DePauw shut them out for only the fourth time in the program's history. This is the lowest offensive output by Barry since 2014, which was only their second year as a program. So a really impressive performance from DePauw. They allowed 2.2 yards per play and only 8 total first downs.
Yes, another big win here. And Barry does a great job as well, a top 25 team in 2023. So let's bring in Coach McElwain and hear about their week. Well, it's great to be here with our defensive coordinator of the week for week 2, Ryan McElwain, defensive coordinator at DePauw. They had a big 33-0 win over Barry. Coach, appreciate you taking the time here during the week to talk to us a little bit about what you do in season and share some ideas with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Keith. It's a pleasure to be able to represent DePauw University in our defense. I think they did a great job this week, and it's a much deserved group effort.
Yeah, that group effort is important that we recognize that, because there's a lot of coaches, obviously, who contribute to that. So I want to make sure you had a chance to mention those guys who were a part of this big win for you guys on the defensive side.
Yeah, absolutely. Our coaching staff did a great job preparing us all week. Kind of a unique week for us with some travel stuff, things like that, kind of being a day short with our preparation. But our DB coach and assistant head coach, Scott Cernka, does a great job with those guys on the back end of the secondary, especially with some adjustments and coverage things that needed to happen this week with a couple different looks. Austin Corey is our D-line coach. We've got a good group of guys up front, and we kind of go as they go with their motor and their momentum, and that was a big part of it. He kind of gets those guys charged up. And then Brian Woodard is our outside linebackers coach. He's actually a part-time guy that teaches school during the day, teaches biology most of the day, and then comes over and works with us in the afternoon. I mean, he's been an incredible addition to the defensive side of the staff. He's got a lot of high school experience, things like that. Kind of talks through some game adjustments and things like that and helps get our outside linebackers ready. That's a unique position that requires a little bit of extra coaching, and he gets those guys going. And I'd be remorse if I didn't mention Marty Mangus. He's a current student for us that actually came in as a player and made the transition to the coaching staff, and he's an incredible young man. I wish I could keep him around and hire him. I think he's going to get into the professional world, but I'm looking forward to writing him a letter of recommendation someday. Certainly Brett Dietz, as our head coach, he kind of is the driving force behind our culture and really embodies what it means to be a part of the DePauw football program. He talks about being a Tiger and what that means to our program, and our guys really buy into that and embody what he's talking about there. So it's been awesome working with him and learning through that experience too. And then lastly, our players. Those guys, again, like I said, with the defensive line, we got a great group of guys that have played a lot of good quality football for us. They're a mature group, and they do a fantastic job working with coaches on the field. I think kind of building that relationship with those guys since I've been here, kind of understanding what they like, kind of what they want to see, and what they feel comfortable with has been such a big part of this.
We're going to get into that culture a little bit and how it transforms into game goals and what you guys actually do and how that translated to win over Barry. But you're the new guy on staff, so you're making an adjustment yourself here coming into the program and doing some of it on the fly. What's that been like for you here as you get going in the early season?
I think the big thing is just being open to communication and, kind of looking at it from 3 levels, really. The first one is we got to have great staff communication. So one of the first things when I got in here, got on staff, got started was, just sitting down and talking to the coaching staff and taking a look at kind of what we've done in the past, kind of where we had, guys at positionally, what holes we needed to fill, where guys were graduating and moving on, what the guys were kind of coming up in the ranks there, and then just kind of trying to figure out what we needed to do from a game communication standpoint, a weekly practice, what types of stuff we needed to see in practice, how we were going to structure and schedule those things, the practice periods, some of the drills we're doing. And then when we get into the actual execution part of game day, what that communication looks like, having a clear line of, tendency reports or what we're seeing from the press box down to the sideline or situational stuff that comes up, just making sure that we're kind of spot on with some of those alerts. The next one is player to coach, just building a relationship with those guys and getting to know them, not just as football players, but also as people and kind of what they want to accomplish beyond just the game of football, but just kind of sitting down, talking to them, kind of getting to know what's important to them. Again, kind of coming in and transitioning here, having the guys that have played a lot of successful football, kind of figuring out what they wanted to continue and carry on in terms of stuff that they've been doing from the previous defensive coordinator, Rory Mannering, who's doing a great job at Butler. But, kind of some of that stuff that they wanted to carry on and keep rolling with, some of the play calls that they feel comfortable with in certain situations or checks and adjustments. And I think what's come from that in my experience is that those guys feel comfortable now coming and talking to me from a peer-to-peer standpoint almost, where if there's a situation or there's a certain call and it's something that they don't feel comfortable with, they've got a voice that they can come say, hey, coach, like maybe we should look at going in a different direction with this, or this is something that we like in these situations. And it actually played out for us in a critical 4th and 1 situation in this past week. They trusted it, they believed in it, and then they went out and executed, which is huge. And then I think the last one is kind of empowering a player-to-player communication standpoint, where, giving those guys the freedom and the ability to talk to each other and kind of show their personalities out on the field and building that trust. I think the foundation of everything you do on defense is trust, and being able to trust the guys around you to execute their role so you can be really great in yours. And, just kind of encouraging those guys to keep that communication and that line of communication amongst them. Every play, every situation has really helped us kind of, me in the transition, and those guys grow.
I mentioned talking about the culture a little bit, and you mentioned Coach Dietz being the culture driver, and you guys have things set up where your game goals certainly bring out the things as a team, right? I think I've been in those situations before. I've done it before where we have all these game goals, and if you don't do it the right way, it could come out like this part of our team's not doing their job, and this one is. You look at it as how they all fit together. Like our head coach at BW, John Snell, did a great job in putting something together that was more of a team concept in those game goals, and then certainly we would have to break it out from there and the things we needed to do, which just were reinforcing and giving us objectives for the behaviors. Behaviors are your culture, the behaviors that we wanted on the field. So would love to hear a little bit about the game goals set up for your team, and then how you guys break that off a little bit to get a little bit more detailed on the things you need from your defense.
Yeah, it's been a great thing. Like I said, Coach Dietz talks about what he calls our game goals, which are steps, starting field position, trying to put our offense in the best position to score. On defense, it's getting 3 and outs and takeaways, and creating short fields for those opportunities. You can see the research with the percentage increase in chances of coming away with points where drives are starting. Obviously, you're less likely to have mistakes, things like that take you out of system. The next one, T in step, is turnover margin. So just figuring out ways on offense to obviously protect the football, but for us defensively, figuring out ways to create those takeaways, trying to get the ball in our hands. If we can, we can poke one out or get tip balls, interceptions, sack, force fumbles, things like that. And then figuring out ways to kind of just capitalize on those opportunities. The ease explosive plays, obviously from an offensive side, trying to create those big pop plays. Defensively, trying to limit those, understanding that, there's going to be situations where guys are going to make plays. There's talented athletes that we play week in and week out on the offensive side of the ball. But, if we can keep those to a minimum through just being assignment sound and pursue, we'll be in good shape. And then the last one is possession down. So understanding, great situational football, 3rd and 4th down. What's the situation? What some of those tendencies are that come out of your breakdown that teams want to try to get into or try to do. To keep drives going offensively, and figuring out ways for us to just get off the field.
Now, looking at how some of those translate to the defensive side, how do you guys approach that there? What are you looking for each week from your defensive unit?
So defensively, it's a subculture of our team, right? Because we're all wearing the same colors on Saturday. We practice against each other and just push each other to get better as we get up to Saturday. But, for us, just taking a look at it from a deeper dive from our standpoint, we've got 5 game goals that we really look for. The first one is a turnover touchdown ratio. And, I'd be lying if this wasn't my original idea. I think there's a lot that comes out of, what you guys do with podcasts and sharing some of this information. And I got to give credit to Coach Jeff Knowles, who's the DC at Ball State right now. I listened to it talking to a clinic talk, and he said, no matter what, at any game, he's like, we always want to be +1 in our touchdown to turnover ratio. And, looking back at it with that, one of the things that we count as a turnover is a 3 and out on defense. Because again, you're kind of flipping and setting up that field position. Coming off the game this past week, we were actually +10 in the touchdown turnover ratio, which is incredible, and a lot of credit to our guys in the way they responded. The second goal for us is no sudden change touchdowns. And I think it kind of comes into play with, limiting those explosive plays. Obviously, you're coming to a sudden change situation. Something drastic has happened that's outside of our control on defense. And being able to come out to the field and respond in those situations. And, our guys, again, talking about Coach Dietz and the culture, our guys really, really buy into, looking out for each other, taking care of each other, and, seeing that as an opportunity to go pick each other up. One of the things that our guys really put an emphasis on is taking the field. And they took the field in that situation like they were going to war. And ironically enough, we were set up for a 3 and out in that situation and had a pass interference call on a 3rd and 12 that extended the drive. And after even that adverse situation, our guys dug in, found a way to get off the field in a short field and force a quick punt. The third one is explosive plays. So going back into, really the team goal there, but just looking specifically what it is on defense. And our guys talk a lot about, what that looks like to limit that. And I think it really, if you go back and look at explosive plays, it's something that I do in a cell scout every week. Is it really comes down to three things. If either you're missing a tackle somewhere, which usually results in some type of leverage change, you've got a missed assignment, or, the last one is they just got you on scheme. And I think for us, kind of going back and looking and being able to like dissect that and understand like where we can be better in terms of what we're coaching as a staff and what we're telling our guys can help us continually grow down the field. And we had two explosive plays that we gave up this past week. The next one that we're looking for is 18 big plays on defense. So I'm a firm believer that you can play defense with enthusiasm. And, football is an emotional game. And I think from the offensive side of the ball, you've got to be a little bit more controlled, a little bit more mellow, and kind of even kill with it. But I think, our guys, we want our guys to have fun playing football. I think that's part of the reason why they're playing at the Division III level is because it's fun to them. And we really want to emphasize that. And, we were talking in our group or our team meeting yesterday, our unit meeting, and our guys were talking about those big plays. And if you watch the film as you're going back through it, those big plays really spark enthusiasm. Your sideline gets juiced, the crowd gets juiced, the guys on the field get juiced, and it's contagious. So you start to see those things carry over, and where you start stacking those big plays is something that we really look to do. So we had a handful of them with a couple stops, a couple sacks, an interception. We had 7 TFLs in the game. We had 7 PBUs, a few quarterback hits. Like those are all things that we're kind of looking for and showing our guys, hey, here's the impact of what you do on it. And then finally, our last goal in our fifth category there is set up a score. So anytime we can put our offense in position to be successful, whether that's give them a short field through a 3-and-out or a takeaway, or if we can find a way to score on defense ourselves, with a safety or a pick six or a scoop and score, any of those things, we think that, we're going to be in a pretty good position. If we can hit, usually we say if we can hit 4 of the 5 game goals, we're going to be in a good spot.
Coach, it's great to hear how those translate to the game. They certainly did against Barry here this week. You guys accomplished at a high level those goals. And I just want to thank you again for taking the time to share that idea with us. Again, congratulations to you and your staff for earning the honor of our Hanson Ratings D3 Defensive Coordinator of the Week. And I want to wish you and the Tigers the best of luck here the rest of 2024.
Thanks again for having us, Keith. It's again an honor to represent DePauw University and our football program. Like I said, we got a great group of guys, and we're fired up moving forward.
This episode is brought to you by Jira. Ever wonder how those big marketing campaigns that make headlines get delivered on time? It all starts with Jira, the only project management tool you need to plan and track work across any team. Every step of that campaign is organised in one place, from launching the campaign all the way back to designing ads and writing creative briefs. Get started on your next big marketing campaign idea today in Jira.
And our last award is for the head coach of the week. And in doing so, we recognize his entire staff as well. And our head coach of the week is Mike Sarasolo, the head coach at Springfield. What do you have for us on Springfield, Logan?
Well, I guess it's a triple option themed coaching staff of the week this week because we had Salisbury for offensive and Springfield for the overall staff. Springfield also had over 600 yards of offense with 557 yards rushing. They held Husson to only 238 yards and 25% on thirds downs. They also won the turnover battle 3-0 and forced 3-and-out on 8 of Husson's drives while scoring themselves in 3 or fewer plays 6 times. Just an all-around dominating performance from the Pride.
Let's bring in Coach Sarasolo and hear about Springfield and their performance this week. We're here with our head coach of the week, and of course, he's going to be talking about his staff. We collectively recognize the staff in this award as well, and that's the head coach at Springfield College, Mike Sarasolo. Coach, it's great to have you here on the podcast. I know you guys had a quick turnaround there from Husson, a late night, and you're going to be playing tomorrow night, Friday. So a lot to pack into a week, but I appreciate you taking the time.
No, I appreciate you having me and the opportunity to talk a little bit about our kids and our program and our coaching staff who do an excellent job. And just want to mention those guys. I appreciate the recognition, but obviously it takes a lot of people for this thing to work. And I do my part and everybody else does their part as well. And that's what we stress to everybody in the program is everybody has a role and no one's is more significant or less significant than anybody else's. And it starts with our coaching staff is they set the pace daily and our kids, as far as our older kids and our captains and our brotherhood council. But Lou DiRienzo runs our defense and does a great job. He GA'd here and then has been coaching back here for the last 4 years as well. And Nick Keene was one of our GAs years ago as well, and then came back and he runs our special teams and coaches the defensive backs. And along on the defensive side, Owen Straley coaches our outside linebackers, and Will Nippon that helps out in the defensive backfield as well. And then we have one of our assistants, Alfred Boney, that's also coaches the defensive line. And then offensively, we're spearheaded with Storm Gibson, who does an unbelievable job coaching our halfbacks. And, I think a credit to him. He's got 3 captains in his room, and it's the leadership development that he provides those kids daily and the growth that he provides with those kids that have made that room one of the strongest on our team. And then Coach Moore and Coach Woodring coach our offensive line, and Coach Rep coaches our wide receivers, and then Coach Nelson coaches our quarterback. So we got a really good, strong staff. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Jake DiRienzo, too, who coaches our fullbacks. And, Arson was the player of the year in the conference last year, and it's a reflection of his work ethic, but also the coaches that are putting the time, energy, and effort into his development, too.
I know in being a part of D3 football for a long time, when you think Springfield, you think the rushing game, and certainly that's part of this award. You guys did an outstanding job on the ground with 557 yards, which is, when you think about just that rushing, that's an astounding number. But you guys played great defense too, and collectively as a team, as Logan Hanson mentioned before we got going with this segment, recognize that you guys did some special things across the ball here in your game against Husson. But for you as a head coach, the culture is a huge focus. These other things happen as a result of what you're setting up. And, you mentioned to me some of the things you believe about this before you got going. We'd love for you to share that with our listeners.
Yeah, I think, we always talk to the kids about, if we got the right people in the room, we're going to do some special things on the field, but more importantly, it's off the field as well. And I think just the development of young men, today is so critical in our game, and so that they can carry those same principles off the field, that we're trying to teach them on the field, whether it's accountability, dependability, being able to lean into one another in one capacity or another, because there's going to be a lot of trials and tribulations that they go through in their life. And if football is the hardest thing they've ever done, then they're going to live a pretty good life. And, but we want to make it challenging. We want to make it competitive. We want to have them develop that 4th and 1 mindset in life as well, that if they're doing something that serves a purpose, and, live that life of purpose. And, we have a statement on our wall in here, passion, pride, and purpose. And, whatever they're doing on and off the field, we want them to be passionate about it. They got to love what they do. And, people that are listening to this are coaches and they love what they do. And we want our kids to love whatever they're doing, whatever they might be doing after graduation. And while they're here, love their classes, love their teammates, and love the football side of things as well. And then that sense of pride, this is Team 134, and we always talk to the kids about, you have an opportunity to leave your legacy, and your fingerprints are all over this football program from now moving forward. The culture that you develop and the brotherhood that they develop as teammates and as brothers is going to span much longer than just the next 4 years, because they're going to help recruit the next class of kids to become Team 135 and 136 and 137. And then, like I said, to lead it off, is just that purpose. There's got to be an intent behind everything we do. And we're very fortunate. Coach Bugby is coaching at Springfield College. He's going on, I think, his 42nd year here, and as the lacrosse coach. And he's going to talk to our team today, just about showing up for your teammates. And it's an important aspect of our program. And we talk about, no matter what, is that you want to be able to lean on your teammates and lean into them as well. And because no matter what the situation, whether it is 4th and 1 or something going on in your personal life or academic life, is you're going to need that support system. And, I think, brotherhood to us means is that trying to help you get to a place that you want to go, that you can't get there by yourself. And so you got to rely on other people. And so throughout the course of the year, we're finding ways and different ways and just trying to build this thing constantly. And, so that they understand that it's much bigger than the game. And, the definition of their life is not going to be on a scoreboard. The scoreboard of life is much different than, a game that played out on Friday or Saturday nights.
Coach, you've mentioned the word brotherhood several times here, and it kind of piqued my interest before we got going. You mentioned something that you guys do to build your culture is brotherhood development workshops. I would love to hear about that. One, how it came about, and two, exactly what it is.
Yeah, we when I was fortunate enough to take over the program from Coach DeLong, and Coach DeLong was a tremendous mentor to me growing up. He was the head coach that I played for at Springfield College, and when I got recruited here, it was all about brotherhood, and it was all about your teammates and building a strong bond within the team. And we just wanted to continue that. So everything that, from when I was fortunate to take over has been built around building a brotherhood. And, so it adds the humility aspect of things. Is everything is building. It's never built. And, just getting the kids to understand is, no matter what they're doing in their life, is that it's constantly under construction. You've always got to find ways to improve and just try to continue to get better day in and day out. So, we're, again, very fortunate here. We have a sports psychologist that works with our team. We have athletic counselors that work with our team, our coaching staff. But every night during preseason, we have a different theme that we'll cover, whether it's commitment, whether it's humility, whether it's brotherhood, whether it's, competitive edge and competitive spirit, whatever the workshop might be for that night. But every single meeting starts off with a brotherhood development theme, and that's throughout the course of the year. So again, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes. It's different with each positional group and how much they might dive into it that night and how much meaningful, because each thing might mean a little bit something different to each group. But and it doesn't stop at preseason. It continues on throughout the course of the year. And our team has, similar to a leadership council, we call it a brotherhood council, and it's a group of guys on the team that, that are leaders within the team, with leaders within the position groups. It's all different class levels, from freshmen up to seniors to fifth years. And, they're the guys that really drive this bus, and make this thing run. It's the culture is our players. And, again, we want to be able to lean into one another. And like I said, our term for brotherhood is that, helping you get to someplace you can't get there by yourself. And you need people to do that. And none of us are going to be successful without others contributing to that success. And, we take it the next step with, we all want to be successful on and off the field, but we also want to be significant. Any individual can be successful, but I think it takes, special people to be significant and to help others along the way. And that's what we're trying to do here. So, the workshops range from anywhere. And then every Friday before a game, we'll do it actually tonight because it's, the day before the game. But then we have kids present in front of the team as far as the theme for the year is your story, and telling your story of how you got to Springfield College, what got you here, the people that mattered most in your life that have been supportive of you and helped you get into that locker room, because no one did it by themselves. And, so every kid has a different background. And I think you get to know the kids a little bit better and each other a little bit better. And you're willing to work a little bit harder on a football field and off the field if you know more about one another. And, again, it starts in our positional groups, then it goes to units, and then it goes to full teams. So every kid presents throughout the course of the year, whether it's in front of their positional group. Generally the younger kids are a little bit intimidated about going in front of the entire team, but by the time they're seniors, every kid wants to present in front of the team because they want to get their story out there. And like I said, each year it's a different theme that we're talking about, but this year it's your story and just talking about your journey to get to Springfield College and then your goals for after Springfield College as well, because it's not going to end here. Like I said, this is a tremendous and unbelievable 4 years of your life, but hopefully the best is yet to come.
Yeah, Coach, as you guys continue this after the season, how do you go about doing that? I know at the D3 level, we have all kinds of different situations with having, kids lifting all at the same time, having to split into different groups, accounting for classes, all those things. So how do you guys make sure you stay connected with this in the off season?
Yeah, again, we set up the Brotherhood Council, and then, throughout the course of what we call the on season, because you're never off season, you're always going to be doing something to develop. And, we're allowed certain meeting times with the kids anyways. And then the kids do a lot on their own as well, so that they can continue to build this thing. But any opportunity we get to be with our kids, we want to be with them. I know there's certain rules and guidelines and policies and procedures, but, again, I steal a lot of quotes for the best coach are the best thieves type of things. And I always remember that Frederick Douglass quote that says it's better to build strong boys than 6 broken men. So we're trying to build, great young men at Springfield College and within our football program. And, because I do think it is going to add to their experience while they're here, but more importantly, when they leave here as well, so that they can carry that message forward.
Coach, I appreciate you taking the time here during a shortened week for you and sharing some things about your program and your culture. And again, congratulations on being named our D3 head coach and staff of the week. And good luck to you and Springfield College the rest of the way here in 2024.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. And again, I appreciate the recognition, but again, it's these kids are unbelievable. I'm very fortunate and very proud to coach them and be a part of their lives. And, they make it a lot of fun being able to coach them and be able to experience some of the great times that they're having on and off the field as well. But, these, if you ever get a chance to be around here, these are great kids. And, any type of recognition we get as a program is because of them and the buy-in and the culture that they've developed as well. So really appreciate them. So appreciate you having me on.
Logan, another great week of D3 football. We recognize some outstanding coaches and outstanding teams. And again, I'm excited to be doing this all season long and really highlighting the great coaching that we see around the Division III level.
Yeah, I am too. I wish I could have given out a handful more offensive coordinators of the week this week. There were some incredible performances, multiple teams scoring over 70 points, getting over 600 yards of offense. There are some staff out there that are doing some great work in Division III, and I love to highlight them.
Well, I appreciate your work, Logan, and we'll be back at it again next week. Thank you for listening to the Coach and Coordinator podcast. Be sure to support our sponsors for your fundraising needs. Vertical Raise. Use their online platform to elevate your team's fundraising to new heights. Modern Football Technology allows you to make decisions at the speed of the game. Check out what they can do for your workflow game planning and play calling on game day. And when you win the championship this year, be sure to contact Signature Championship Rings to commemorate the season with championship rings. Follow all we're doing at coachandcoordinator.com and follow us on X at Coach K. Grabowski.